What do you mean? Who is this person? I came to the funeral home after hearing that my sister had passed away, and when I looked into her casket, I saw a strange woman lying there. Where's my sister? While I was confused, my niece came over and handed me a small folded piece of paper. The moment I saw that, I had a bad feeling and grabbed her hand and tried to leave. At that moment, I heard my brother-in-law yelling from behind me. Why are you here? I told you not to come to the funeral. He glared at me like a demon, forcibly pulled me away from my niece, and threw me out of the funeral home. Why is the funeral for a stranger being held? Is my sister okay? After this, I came to know a very frightening fact. I'm Nadine, 34 years old. I married my husband, who was my classmate in high school, 2 years ago. Penelope, my sister 2 years older than me, married my brother-in-law 7 years ago and lived with Tara, who was 5 years old. Penelope and I grew up in a single-parent household, and our father passed away in a car accident shortly after I got married. Penelope took care of all the inheritance procedures, and I remember feeling like she was someone I could rely on. Penelope's family, who originally lived with my father in his home, inherited the house that was left and lived there. The first anniversary of my father's death had come to an end, and I gradually returned to my normal life, and before I knew it, about half a year had passed. One day, when I was busy with various things and had fewer opportunities to meet my beloved sister, I received a call from an unexpected person. I heard that your sister passed away. I'm sorry for your loss. What? What are you saying after not reaching out to me since forever? Penelope is your sister, right? Her address is your parents' house. The person on the phone was my friend from high school. She works at a funeral parlor, and when she saw the address on the death certificate, she contacted me thinking that I was probably grieving. Is the chief mourner's name Damien? That's right. I've never met your sister and didn't know her last name, so I didn't recognize her when I picked her up from the hospital. But it's weird that you didn't know. After the conversation with my friend, I called my sister's cell phone, hoping it was some kind of mistake, but I couldn't get through. No way, that can't be true. Feeling anxious, I immediately tried to contact my brother-in-law, but the message went to voicemail, so I left a message asking for a call back. What if my sister really died? I felt like the peaceful days I had finally regained were falling apart with a loud noise. The feeling of my heart being torn apart grows stronger and stronger as time passes. After that, my brother-in-law didn't call me at all, so when I finished work, I left a message on the answering machine saying, "I'm going to go to your house now," and my cell phone rang immediately. I'm busy. What do you need? I heard that my sister passed away, but that can't be true, right? Oh, actually. I thought he would deny it right away, but my brother-in-law stammered for a moment, as if he was troubled. What? I didn't expect this reaction. As I swallowed and waited for the next words to be spoken, my brother-in-law slowly opened his mouth. We just had a little argument, and Penelope got angry and we were fighting and she fell down the stairs herself. And then she passed away. You're lying, aren't you? I can't believe it. Why didn't you tell me? Before Penelope passed away, she asked me not to tell anyone if anything happened. She probably didn't want people to know that she died due to her carelessness. My brother-in-law says that out of respect for my sister's feelings, they decided to hold the funeral only for her family. For this reason, he has kept it a secret even from his own relatives. No matter what you say, You should have contacted me. Anyway, I'll say my final goodbyes to her. Don't ever come to the funeral. That's what your sister wants. Even if I told you, you wouldn't be able to come because you don't know where the funeral home is. Well, bye now. My brother-in-law, who doesn't seem to be sad, sounded very irritated for some reason. It felt somewhat unnatural, but I decided that there was no point in pursuing it any further, so I decided not to call back. It's like I'm having a nightmare because I can't handle the sudden misfortune. I couldn't accept the reality that my sister, who I loved so much, was no longer in this world, so I sat on the bench for a while, unable to move. I did this for about an hour, then slowly got up and started walking. As the smile on my sister's face that I saw for the last time appears and disappears, my vision in front of my eyes becomes blurry and tears start to trickle down my face. Sister, why did you leave so early? I never imagined losing my sister like this. On the day of the funeral, I had spent a sleepless night. My brother-in-law told me not to come, but I really wanted to see my sister off, so I asked my friend who informed me of her death about the funeral home, and I went there. Please at least let me see you off one last time. When I quietly entered the venue, my brother-in-law was nowhere to be seen because the funeral had not yet begun. A friend of mine came by my side during a break from work. I can't handle it all. Your brother-in-law is in a separate room to greet the monks. Now might be a good time to say goodbye. I asked a friend who was in charge of the funeral to guide me to the coffin where my sister was buried. The older sister in the photo has a bright smile on her face, as if she is talking to me. My sister is dead after all. I really wanted to say goodbye in person, so I looked into the coffin and found a woman I didn't know lying there. Who is this person? She looks like my sister, but she's not my sister. What's going on? What? Immediately after I backed away from the coffin, my 5-year-old niece gently handed me a crumpled piece of paper. I was surprised by this sudden thing, but when I opened it, it was an ordinary flyer for a rental warehouse. What's wrong with this? If you don't listen to what Daddy says, he told me he would put me in here too. Huh? What do you mean? However, my doubts were instantly dispelled by the next story told to me by my niece. I couldn't believe what I heard, and I instinctively knew something was wrong, so I grabbed my niece's hand and tried to run away from the funeral home. However, my brother-in-law noticed this and chased after me from behind. What are you doing? I told you not to come here. My brother-in-law quickly caught up to me and grabbed my arm, but I stopped walking in shock. I really wanted to meet my sister. Did you actually look inside the coffin? I just arrived, so it's not yet. My brother-in-law seems to be extremely concerned about the coffin. Little by little he approached me and tried to pull me out of the funeral home. What were you talking about with Tara? She was bored and wanted to go to the park. I didn't miss the relieved look on my brother-in-law's face as cold sweat dripped down his forehead, even though it wasn't hot. He's hiding something after all. We need to get Tara out of here right away. I gently looked at my niece and squeezed her hand, and she gave a small nod as if she had sensed something. Then my brother-in-law forcibly grabbed my niece's hand and pulled her away from me. I won't let you take Tara away. Get out now. If she doesn't leave on her own, I'll have the people at the funeral home kick you out. When I saw my brother-in-law speaking in a strong tone and raising his eyes to show his anger, I realized that there was no point in staying any longer, so I had no choice but to leave the place, leaving my niece with anxious eyes. That was quite a fight. Are you hurt? I'm okay. Besides, could you please watch over my niece? I understand. Leave it to me, my friend gave me assurance. If it were her, she would be at the venue throughout the funeral so she could watch over my niece. When I went outside, I looked again at the flyer about renting storage space that my niece had handed me. And while I was looking at it, something suddenly popped into my head. Is this what Tara mentioned earlier, that if something bad happens, this is the place to do it? I immediately took action to find out what my brother-in-law was hiding. Actually, the story I heard from my niece earlier was outrageous. It turns out that the woman in the coffin had come to his house before and been living there for a while. Be good friends with Daddy, they were even kissing. She even said that. Moreover, from that moment on, my sister disappeared, and when Tara asked him about it, he got very angry. No way, my sister is no longer in this world. I shook off the unpleasant thoughts and hurried to the parking lot and drove to the warehouse listed on the flyer. It was a deserted place a little far from a residential area. When I went to the warehouse management office, showed my ID and explained the situation, the person who was initially wary saw my serious expression and reluctantly handed me the key. When I stepped inside, I could feel the damp and unpleasant air. When I looked through the pile of junk, I saw my sister lying limp, buried under her belongings. Penelope. Stay strong. I quickly went to her side, picked her up, and removed the duct tape sealing her mouth. She slowly opened her eyes and said, "I was scared," and hugged me with her cold body. "I'm glad you are alive. What happened?" In response to my question, my sister began to speak. When she came to drop off her belongings to the storage unit after camping with her family, my sister, who found out that my brother-in-law was having an affair, interrogated him. At first, my brother-in-law was reluctantly cheating on her, but perhaps because he thought he couldn't get away with it, he suddenly lost his temper and started assaulting her, causing my sister to lose consciousness. When she woke up, she was trapped in this warehouse. It seemed helpless as the door was locked from outside and her hands and feet were tied so she couldn't make a sound. Knowing that my sister had gone through a horrible time of despair and fear made me furious at my brother-in-law. They pretended that you were dead and my brother-in-law even held your funeral. When my sister heard this, she looked blank, as if she didn't understand. When I told they were holding a funeral telling people it's hers, my sister put her hand over her mouth and whispered, "What a person. I can't let you make you feel like this. I'll make sure he'll be punished properly." As I was rubbing the coat I was wearing on my older sister, who was shivering from the cold, someone grabbed my shoulder as hard as she could. When I looked back in shock, my brother-in-law was standing there. "I followed you to see where you're going. Don't do anything unnecessary. If you're going to get in my way, would you like to go to the other world with her? Stop joking. I won't let you do what you want. There's no way you can beat my power." My brother-in-law tied me up with rope and tried to lock me in the warehouse again with my sister as I resisted hard. Penelope's funeral is almost over, so if I tell you, I'll throw you all deep in the mountains and feed you to animals. Now, I pretended to be sick and snuck out of the funeral, so I need to get back soon. Wait. Tell me why you lied about my sister and held a funeral for someone else. My brother-in-law thought we couldn't escape anymore, so he let out a loud laugh and started talking. After I locked Penelope here, I brought in the girl I was having an affair with to look after Tara, but she's strong-willed. When we got into a fight, she grabbed me, so I kicked her down the stairs. According to my brother-in-law, the person I was having an affair with was still breathing right after she fell down the stairs. That's when I had an epiphany. If the people around me thought Penelope was gone after the funeral, then it wouldn't be a problem to quietly get rid of the real Penelope later. That's why my brother-in-law waited until the woman he was having an affair with took her last breath before calling an ambulance. Moreover, she has no family. Apparently she thought it was convenient because no one would look for her even if she disappeared. My brother-in-law was grinning as he talked about his plans with satisfaction. Horrible. No. I'm a real genius. Well, that's all for chatting. It'll be dangerous if you make a fuss, so I'll give you the final blow. After telling a horrifying story, my brother-in-law slowly walked up to me and my sister, holding a weapon in his hand that he had apparently prepared in advance. His eyes are sharp, but the faint smile on his face can only be described as creepy. I'll end this before you raise your voice. Just as my brother-in-law raised a weapon, the police entered the warehouse and said, "Drop what you have in your hands immediately." I'm glad they made it in time. Just in case, I called the police as soon as I found my sister. I thought that this would calm him down, but suddenly he started complaining to the police in a theatrical voice. Actually, my wife has been missing for a while, but now she has been found safely. Who the hell would do something like this? Huh? Who are you talking about? Oh, she's so scared and confused, officer. I'll spare no effort in helping you catch the culprit. This is exactly what it means to have an open mouth that won't close. My anger boiled over at my brother-in-law's poor behavior at the time of her death, as he took advantage of his cheating partner and tried to lose Penelope as well. Ah, that's right. Well, I guess I can help catch the culprit as well. Huh? Everything you said until the police arrived was recorded. I gave the police officer the voice recorder that recorded our conversation. Huh? What are you doing? Oh, no, wait a minute. It's not my fault. It's all a misunderstanding. Let me explain. My brother-in-law was crying and shouting, "I'm not going with the police," but they treated him coldly and put him in a police car. I then explained to the officers what happened. Someone else's funeral is being held at the funeral home, faking it to be my sister's. Please head over there immediately. When they learned of my story, they immediately rushed to the funeral home. My sister was able to talk but was very weak, so she was taken to the hospital by ambulance. I went back to the funeral home because my sister was worried about Tara. When I went there, I saw that Tara's friend had been staying close to Tara, who looked worried. When she saw me, Tara ran over to me and hugged me. Her body was trembling and her eyes were filled with tears. Wow! That was scary. You really stayed strong. Hey, where's Mom? Is Mom okay? I found your mom. She's safe. Let's go to the hospital where Mom is. In the car on the way to the hospital, my niece started talking about what had happened. After camping, Mom and Dad went to the warehouse to drop off our things, but Dad was the only one who came back. He said she had to work suddenly, but Dad was sweating so much it was scary. I thought it was weird because he made a scary face. I see. I guess you were worried. But why did you have a flyer today? It was at home, so I looked at the map on it and thought I'd sneak out during the funeral to see it. I thought maybe my mom was there. A 5-year-old child sensed something was wrong and was trying to help her mother. It was impossible for Tara to go looking for Penelope alone, but I can't believe how much courage it took for her to make such a decision. It made me sad to think that the few days when my sister didn't come home must have been extremely long for my niece, and she was anxious. When we arrived at the hospital, Tara spotted my sister and immediately ran over to her. "Tara, I'm sorry to have made you worry," my sister lovingly caressed Tara's crying face, smiling over and over again. "It's okay now." She looked so happy and I was relieved. "I'm so glad I didn't lose my sister." My sister received treatment at the hospital, and her condition gradually improved, and she was allowed to leave the hospital in about a week. My brother-in-law was arrested on charges of leaving my sister alone and killing the woman he was having an affair with without helping her. From now on, he will carry a heavy cross and live in a cold, closed prison. Of course, my sister divorced my brother-in-law and took custody of my niece. It is said that my brother-in-law received $30,000 in compensation from the money he had saved to give to the woman he had an affair with. I discussed with my husband that it would not be comfortable for my sister and my niece to live alone in the future, so we decided to live together after she was discharged from the hospital. Currently, my life is full of happiness with my kind husband, beloved sister, and cute niece.